Persona is incredibly diverse gameplay wise, and with such a wide variety of skills to choose from, some of these skills were straight up bound to be busted. And man, when I say busted, I mean straight up one-shotting a super boss with the click of a button, or obliterating the hardest boss of that game. So here are my personal picks for the most disgusting skills in the franchise. The type of skills where the second you gain it, you just see the credit screen frame 1. And you wanna know the weird part? Trust me, these skills will just get more and more ridiculous as we go on.
Persona!
But with that being said, let's take a look at the bottom tier of ridiculous power, Yoshitsune. You see, Yoshitsune is ridiculous when even a Velva attendant uses him. You see, Yoshitsune specifically has access to one of the strongest physical moves of the entire franchise. That move being a move called Hasutobi, a move that even in its first appearance in a Persona game, folded enemies like they were lawn chairs. It's literally the strongest physical move in Persona 4, and for good reason. You see, the effect of Hasutobi is very simple. For the most part, in most Persona games, it simply just deals light damage to the enemy 8 times. And with the base power of 120 and a 75% accuracy, I know it doesn't sound that powerful, especially when you compare it to the other hard hitters like God's Hand with the 800 base power, or Primal Force with a base power of 1100. But don't let the light damage fool you, this move is straight up ridiculous in action. Again, even using Persona 4 as an example, you can easily hit 1000 to 2000 damage on a majority of enemies, if not higher with the actual good build. See, with the newer Persona games like Persona 3 Reload, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5, they're extremely dominated by physical skills, allowing moves like Hasutobi to straight up thrive. Even an enemy that resists physical is still going to take just a shit ton of damage from the move. And let's not even get into auto moves in games like Persona 4 that basically allow you to be completely buffed by the start of the match. Add that plus a power charge and a debilitate, and you can basically watch your enemies be sliced into Swiss cheese like you're on Kitchen Nightmares or something.
And Coop has delivered undercooked salmon.
And make no mistake, Yoshitsune is no slouch himself either. He completely blocks physical moves and reflects electric and light skills, or less in Persona 5. If you toss skill cards on him too, like Absorb the Wind, Reflect or Absorb Fire, and Absorb or Null Ice, you can make Yoshitsune nullify damn near every single element in the game, except for Almighty, while also having one of the strongest physical moves of the entire franchise. Yeah, if you haven't got it by now, he's a complete cheat code. He's made even better by characters like Teddy, who have godlike buffs and debuffs, and Marita Kujaka to buff attack, and Marakunda to buff defense. With all this together, you're going to have the easiest sweep of your entire life. And while I do know that I'm glazing him a good bit, Hasutobi is still one of the strongest physical moves of the entire franchise. But what gets me about it though, is even though Yoshitsune is still a fantastic persona, you still have to put a good bit of effort into making him so fantastic. But the other two that we're about to get into are borderline effortless. But if you want to look at it on its own, Hasutobi lets you fold 99% of enemies like you're at the end of a Caleb City skit. Once you get Yoshitsune, you can basically consider the whole game over. Very few enemies actually nullify physical by that point. And even the final boss, and I mean the secret final boss, gets completely shredded by Hasutobi. And make no mistake, even though I talked about Persona 4 Golden a lot, it's legit just as ridiculous in Persona 5. If anything, it reaches even higher numbers that I could never dream of in Persona 4. But while all that is still extremely impressive, it's not anywhere near as impressive as the newer skill, Scarlet Havoc. Well, kinda. You see, Scarlet Havoc isn't really a new skill by any means. It was in the original Persona 3 FES, but in their fusion spell. But it had its damage upgraded from regular heavy slash damage to severe slash damage, and became a third G of course. But anyway, having its damage upgraded from regular heavy slash damage to severe slash damage is actually a massive difference that somehow makes Scarlet Havoc, in a game filled with ridiculously broken moves, the most broken skill of them all. You see, Scarlet Havoc is a tiny bit balanced by being a 3rd-G, but the move does so much fucking damage that I don't really think it matters. Scarlet Havoc allows you to stack critical amp skills like Added Pupil and Crit Rate Amp or Boost, and you can combine that with skills like Auto Rebellion and Marjakujaka, and you basically become Yuji, being able to hit a Black Flash whenever he wants, but with crits. It almost guarantees that every time you use Scarlet Havoc, you're gonna get a shit ton of damage. Good god, the damage. It can easily hit 2000 damage with nothing, but fully boosted and a good build, and you can start to hit 20,000 damage at once. My fellow chap, my good sir, my brother in Christ, that is enough damage to one-shot Elizabeth. That's enough damage to send the Reaper right back to his grave and keep him there. That is enough damage to make Nyx, one of the hardest bosses in the franchise, start flipping hamburgers at McDonald's. Because 3rd-Gs innately ignore resistances, there is not a single enemy that can run from your wrath with a fully boosted Scarlet Havoc. And I'm not gonna lie with you, even on the hardest difficulty, with a fully boosted Scarlet Havoc, it'd be easier for you to straight up win the lottery than die with that skill. At least in the journey. Shoot, that's probably why they added a Joker boss in the answer. Somebody in the dev team really saw fans get too cocky with Scarlet Havoc and just got pissed. I swear, it's like Persona fans put on black Air Forces before pressing R2 and activating Scarlet Havoc. Some of these fans just really like to watch the game burn. While Hasotobi is like a few atomic bombs hitting your enemies at once, Scarlet Havoc is like dropping a straight up hydrogen bomb on your enemies that has your enemies looking up like that one William Dafoe meme. Quite frankly, as far as I know, Scarlet Havoc is the single strongest hitting move in the entire franchise. Other than very specifically Elizabeth, there isn't a single enemy that can survive it fully boosted. Yo, even Elizabeth can get one-shotted from it, it just takes a lot more attempts than usual. It's one of those moves where you're actively nerfing yourself by not using it. Like you just barely want to give your enemies a chance before you get a little bit bored and then you annihilate them. And the worst part, it's not even like it's a one-time use. With how fast 3rd-Gs can be regained, if by the grace of God some enemy does survive, you can just bust out another one pretty quickly. But while Scarlet Havoc is a straight up ridiculous move that one-shots enemies, it'd be nice if you could help me out and one-shot that like button. Maybe subscribe real quick if you're feeling up to it. These videos do take a while to make and it would be greatly appreciated. Anyway. But finally, we get into, in my personal opinion, the strongest move in the entire franchise. We all know what it is, it's Marriot Roots. Alright, now hear me out. While Scarlet Havoc and Hasotobi both have the potential to deal far more damage, for one of the strongest, hardest hitting moves in the entire franchise, Marriot Roots is just so damn effortless, which makes sense because it's a free DLC. Being a free DLC, all you have to do is just hit up the compendium and buy Izanagi for basically 0 yen, then boom, the game is over. In case you somehow don't know what Marriot Roots is by now, simply put, it just smacks the enemy with heavy almighty damage 3 times. But at this point, you already know if you see a multi-hit move on this list, it's probably a damn Tarsar bomb. And you'd be right. Just like Scarlet Havoc, Marriot Roots obliterates almost every single enemy in the game, to the point where it's become a pretty damn big meme among Persona fans. Even without being fully boosted, the moment you get it, it can still deal pretty ridiculous damage non-stop. And all that is without even considering Izanagi's straight Country Maker. See, now you can put a little bit more effort into it, but basically Country Maker boosts the attack of all his skills based on how much of the compendium you've completed. This is what already turns a hydrogen bomb versus scoffing baby situation into the Big Bang versus a singular sperm cell. Except for Lavenza specifically, most enemies won't even survive to see the 3rd hit of Marriot Roots. Even both of the final bosses of the game, between the base game and the 3rd semester, get completely one-shot by the move, along with the Reaper and damn near every other boss. And as I touched on before, being a DLC persona, it's just so damn accessible. If you're struggling during any point in the game, even the slightest bit of struggle, you can just hop into the Velvet Room, buy Izanagi, and then fold every single enemy like a origami airplane. And it's funny too, between all the ultimate personas, like Satanayo, Messiah, Apollo from Persona 2, hell even Amon-Ra, none of these ultimate personas have a move even half as strong as Marriot Roots. Which, with all this taken into account, just lays Marriot Roots firmly as the strongest skill in Persona, at least in my mind. But I do get it, yeah, Scarlet Havoc and Hasatobi do have the potential to deal more damage, but it's just the sheer accessibility of Marriot Roots that gets me, plus maybe how broken it is. I mean, you at least have to wait till endgame for Hasatobi and mid-game for Scarlet Havoc, but you can get Marriot Roots right at the beginning of Kamoshida's Palace. You know, if you never feel like struggling a single time for a 120-hour game. But if you haven't gotten it by now, multi-hit moves in Persona are straight up ridiculous, I swear. Atlus will somehow always find a way to make them the most ridiculously broken moves in the entire franchise. Shoot, it's no different with the spin-offs too. Even in games like, say, Persona Q, Hasatobi is still the most ridiculously strong move in the game. Well, next to instant kills, I guess. But for the most part, that is gonna be where my list ends. Now if we want to toss in some honorable mentions, we can toss in Shining Arrows, which is a move primarily exclusive to Kaguya that can deal light bless damage 4 to 8 times. Even a move like that still has ridiculous potential to obliterate enemies, but personally, I wouldn't say it's anywhere near as powerful as the other 3 mentioned, but don't get me wrong, it is still busted. But unfortunately, that is all I've got for you guys today. See, if you did like the video and everything I put on display, why not like the video, maybe subscribe for some extra flavor. As usual, whenever I cover these type of topics, credits for all the clips I use is always going to be included in the description, so check those homies out if you want to see the damage numbers for yourself. But with that being said, I'm out for today. I hope y'all have a good day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.